Thank you. When I was 7 years old, all I wanted to do was to ride my bike and play with my toys. And I had lots of them because my dad made sure that I got what I wanted for Christmas and for my birthday. It may seem like a normal childhood, but growing up in Nigeria, that was not the case. By Nigerian standards, we lived a privileged life. My dad, a top civil servant, made sure we had a beautiful home. We were safe, comfortable, and lacked nothing. Then one day, I was riding my bike in the neighborhood when my ride was interrupted by this distinctive sound. The terrifying roar of a bomber plane tearing through the sky in a distance. I turned my bike around, gripped by fear. My heart pounded. I rode my bike home as fast as I could pedal. I got into the house, down into the cellar where my grandmother and siblings were, in our designated hiding place. In that moment, petrified, I plunked myself on my grandmother's lap as she held me close and said, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." I was comforted by my grandmother's word as she read the 23rd Psalm. I would later on learn that my father's tribe, the Igbos, had seceded from Nigeria and formed an independent nation, Biafra. We were now at war with Nigeria. Overnight, we became refugees. And we left Biafra at midnight on a cargo plane, leaving behind our whole world, our home, our possessions, and my dad, who had to stay behind to fight the war, not knowing if we would ever see him again. Despite the trauma and the chaos of war, miraculously, I managed to complete my studies, became a medical doctor, and immigrated to the United States of America with my new husband. There, I completed my postgraduate studies, became a pediatric cardiac intensive care specialist, taking care of critically ill children with heart conditions. I fought relentlessly to save their lives. And that dedication was recognized by others, but not by me. Against all odds, even though I had achieved success, I still did not feel like I was worth it. A gnawing void came over me. In the wreckage of war, I lost more than my possessions and my home. I lost myself, my identity. I felt like I was an imposter. My success didn't feel like I earned it. That didn't make sense. But yet that's how I felt. And I've since come to learn that many accomplished people feel that way. In fact, research shows that about 70% of accomplished people feel like imposters at some point in their career. So what do I do when I feel like I don't belong? I work harder. I chase the next title, the next promotion, the next congratulation, because deep down, if I can just achieve enough, I will finally feel like I'm worth it. And that's what I did. I said yes to so many things just to feel part of the medical community. Yes to the Clinical Scholars Program. Yes to applying for grants to pursue groundbreaking research. yes to focusing on my teaching skills. And yet, even when I was recognized for it, it still didn't matter. It didn't matter. So I turned my attention to global health. And I traveled to places where I trained physicians. But the ventilators that we used and the actions that we took mattered the most. I was even recognized for that work by the prestigious American College of Critical Care Medicine and inducted as a fellow. Yet, something was still missing. It didn't matter. The accolades that I received, the success that I achieved, I still felt I wasn't worth it. I even changed jobs, thinking that the environment was the problem. And then I realized, you know what? I've been doing this for 25 years, and I have very little to show for it. On top of that, I traveled, I took calls, I took weekends. I barely had time for myself and my family. If I'm honest, I was on my way to burnout. Something had to give. And then one day, an opportunity came to apply for the interim chief position of my section. I said to myself, this is it. This is what I have been waiting for, a leadership position. So I applied. I wrote down a long list of the things that I had done. Nothing made a difference. Then as I began to look at what I had done in sub-Saharan Africa, building critical care capacity in resource-limited settings, I remembered. Memories I hadn't thought about for years came rushing back. And one story stood out. I was in this hospital, rounding with the residents, when I heard this mother wailing. So I went to the bedside. And then I realized something is wrong. Took out my stethoscope. I listened. No heart tones. I felt for a pulse. No pulse. In fact, the child was cold and rigid. Rigor mortis had set in. She was dead. And she'd been dead for hours. Because they only take vital signs once a day. No one noticed. I realized they were overwhelmed, understaffed, and overworked. But this didn't have to happen. So I gathered the nurses and the residents together, and we talked about taking vital signs at the beginning and at the end of their shift. So they went from taking 1 vital sign a day to 6 vital signs. And then the next day, they were able to recognize a child who was in significant respiratory distress. They intervened and they saved him. His father came walking towards me. He didn't speak a word of English. It didn't matter. His face said it all. I can still see that face to this day. And then it dawned on me that what I had been doing mattered. So I went back and I looked at my list. This time, I didn't just see what I had done. I saw what I had done for others. See, John Maxwell says, success is when you add value to yourself. Significance is when you add value to others. So I took the job. And this time I decided to focus on impact over title, because I realized I could help my colleagues who'd been struggling with some of the things that I had struggled with. So I recognized them, celebrated them. I identified 2 nurses every shift that I worked, and I gave them thank you cards. And they said to me, thank you. One of them said to me, I feel seen. I feel that what I'm doing makes a difference. So, if you're like me and you struggle with imposter syndrome, let me ask you to do this. Write down everything you have done, especially what you've done for others. And ask yourself this question. Am I reading about somebody who's an imposter or someone who has done a lot for others? So here's what I've learned. Our value is not looked at in terms of our titles, our trophies, or the size of our resume. So if you want to own your work, stop chasing it in the successful things that you do and start recognizing it in the significant things that you do for others. Because our worth cannot be measured. It is reflected in how we show up, how we serve others, our compassion and our generosity. And when we do that, we will recognize that we've been living a life of significance all along. Thank you.